The sun had not yet risen, but the sky outside evergreen ridge glowed with the soft blue light of approaching dawn. Inside the medical lab, Dr. Elias Trent stood beside the young dragon, watching carefully as its tiny body absorbed the synthetic mineral compound. The glow beneath its scales grew a little stronger with each passing minute. It was not bright yet, but it was steady, and steady was enough to give him hope. The hatchling's breathing was calm now, no longer shallow and trembling. Its tiny wings twitched from time to time as new energy flowed gently through them. Every soft movement felt like a small miracle. Elias felt the heaviness in his chest ease. Outside the wide glass window, the mother dragon remained on the grass, her silver scales catching the first hints of morning light. She had not moved from her spot the entire night. Her golden eyes were fixed on the lab with deep focus, full of patience and trust. Elias knew she understood that her child was safer now, but she also understood that the process was not complete. Dragons were extremely sensitive to energy states, and she could feel that her hatchling was still fragile. As he checked the readings again, his tablet vibrated. Dr. Mara Lynn appeared on screen, her face looking tired but hopeful. "How's the little one?" she asked softly. "Recovering," Elias said. "Slowly, but surely." "That's already incredible," Mara replied. "You created something that was only theoretical before tonight." Elias shook his head. "Not alone," Mara smiled gently. "Maybe, but you were the one who made the choice. You took the risk." Elias glanced at the sleeping hatchling. "What matters is that it's helping." Mara leaned back in her chair, stretching. "Now comes the hard part, stabilizing the energy flow fully. Without that, the restoration won't last." Elias nodded. "I figured as much. Dragons needed consistent energy for healthy growth. The synthetic compound could fill the missing gaps, but it couldn't replace the natural mineral sources forever. The hatchling's body needed to learn how to accept energy again slowly, safely, without overwhelming its system." Elias looked over the charts again. "We need more of the compound, a long-term supply, and to do that," Mara said, "you need a stable synthesis design, which means we need to refine the formula." Elias sighed. "This lab has limits, but I can try." Mara nodded encouragingly. "I'll walk you through each step." Before they could begin, a soft chirp came from the table. The hatchling's head lifted slightly, its eyes fluttering open. The glow in them was faint but present. Elias leaned down. "Hey there," he whispered, smiling warmly. "You're waking up." The little dragon looked around slowly. It seemed confused at first, lost, maybe. Elias gently placed his hand near its tiny claws. Not touching, just close. The hatchling reached out and lightly rested one claw on his glove. The contact was soft, warm, trusting. Outside the window, the mother dragon made a gentle sound, full of relief and affection. Her wings relaxed a little as she saw her child awake and responding. Elias felt a warm tightness in his chest. It was a moment he knew he would never forget. Mara watched the scene through her screen, eyes shining. "Elias, you've earned her trust. Do you understand how rare that is?" He nodded slowly. "I feel honored." The hatchling let out another quiet chirp and settled back down. But this time it looked peaceful. Not weak. Elias knew they had to continue working before its energy levels dropped again. He turned back to Mara. "All right," he said. "Let's get back to the formula." For the next several hours, they adjusted ratios, tested variations, and ran small simulations. The lab was filled with soft humming sounds from machines, glowing screens, and the faint pulse of synthetic energy as Elias worked. The world outside brightened. As morning arrived, warm sunlight spilled across the forest, lighting up the shimmering leaves and casting long shadows across the ground. Yet the mother dragon did not leave. She stayed exactly where she had been all night, watching over her child. Every so often, she would lower her head and release a soft, steady sound, encouraging, soothing. Elias found the sound calming as well. It reminded him of a lullaby. After several hours, Mara let out a long exhale. "I think we finally have something close to stable," she said. Elias examined the data. The new formula glowed a soft, even blue. The structure was far more balanced than before. "This looks promising," he agreed. Let's prepare a larger batch. He set up the mixing device again, adding each component carefully. The machine hummed as it began processing. As the compound formed, the glowing swirl inside the container stabilized without flickering. A good sign. Looks like the energy core is holding perfectly, Mara said. That means we can create more of it safely. Elias smiled. This could save more dragons in the future. Mara paused. Elias, do you think other dragons are facing the same problem? He looked toward the forest through the lab window. The sunlight reflected off the trees, and he remembered the strange energy spikes from earlier. I think something big is happening out there, he said. Something affecting their entire habitat. Mara frowned. If that's true, this hatchling is only the beginning. A soft sound came from behind him. The hatchling had shifted, its eyes slightly open again, drawn by the brighter container. It can sense the energy, Elias said. Even from here, he gently approached the little creature and stroked the side of its neck. Very lightly, the hatchling closed its eyes and leaned into his hand with a tiny purr-like vibration. Elias felt a warm wave of affection. This small creature trusted him, truly trusted him, and its mother outside trusted him too. He glanced toward the window again. The mother dragon's golden eyes met his. She lowered her head slowly, a gesture of deep gratitude. Elias returned a small nod. We're not done yet, he whispered to her through the glass. But your child is stronger now, with the new compound ready. Elias administered a carefully measured dose into the hatchling's energy pathways. The glow beneath its scales brightened more smoothly this time, flowing in even waves. The little dragon gave a soft chirp stronger than before and stretched its tiny wings slightly. The sight made Elias smile. You're doing great, he said softly. Keep going. The mother dragon's wings twitched proudly from outside. Mara's voice came through the tablet. Elias, look at what you're doing. This isn't just medicine. It's connection. He nodded quietly. It doesn't feel like I'm helping a creature. It feels like I'm helping a family. The hatchling slowly stood on its small legs for the first time since arriving. A bit shaky, but standing. Elias held out his hand beside it, ready to support if needed. The little dragon stepped closer and nuzzled his palm gently. Good job, he whispered. Touched by the gesture, Mara watched in awe. This is more progress than I imagined. Dragons respond to energy, emotions, trust. You've created a bond. Elias felt the weight of her words. A bond. Yes, it felt like that. The lab door suddenly chimed softly, signaling a visitor. Elias turned. Another researcher, Leon Parker, peeked inside. Dr. Trent? Leon said in a quiet voice, trying not to disturb anything. People from the other stations are calling. They heard about unusual activity near the forest. Some said they saw a dragon approaching our outpost. Elias exhaled. News spreads fast. Leon glanced at the hatchling and froze. His eyes widened. Is that? Elias nodded. A mother dragon brought it here. It needed help. Leon's jaw dropped in amazement. This is incredible. Please keep things calm, Elias said. We don't want any panic, of course. I'll make sure everyone stays quiet, Leon said before hurrying away. Elias turned back to Mara. We should finish monitoring the hatchling's energy flow. If everything stays stable, I can let it reunite with its mother. Mara nodded but looked thoughtful. And then what, Elias? He hesitated. And then, a new era might begin. Dragons had never come to humans for help before, but now one had. And if energy problems spread across the forest, more might follow. Elias looked outside again. The mother dragon stood proudly, her wings lifting slightly as the morning light grew stronger. Her eyes gleamed with respect and gratitude as she watched him and her recovering child. This is more than healing, Elias said quietly. This is the beginning of something bigger. Mara smiled gently. Humanity's gift. Elias looked down at the hatchling, who gently nudged his arm with a warm, soft glow. Yes, he said. A gift of hope. Night had fallen quietly over Evergreen Ridge, the small human research outpost built at the edge of the luminous forest. The place was usually calm at this hour. Most researchers were asleep, and only the soft hum of generators broke the silence. A gentle wind moved across the tall grass, carrying the refreshing scent of flowering trees from deep within the forest. The stars above sparkled bright, scattered across a sky so clear that even the far-off galaxies appeared like tiny dust grains of light. Inside the main research station, Dr. Elias Trent sat alone in the observation lounge, staring at the screen on his tablet. He had spent most of the day studying the recent changes in the forest's energy readings. They showed unusual fluctuations, strange bursts of light activity, heat pulses, and patterns he had never seen before. He rubbed his tired eyes. "Maybe I should sleep," he muttered to himself, placing the tablet down. But just as he leaned back in his chair, something outside caught his attention. It was faint at first, barely audible over the generator's hum, but unmistakable. A deep, trembling sound, a call, a cry. Elias sat up straight. That wasn't the wind. That wasn't an animal he recognized. It sounded emotional, almost like grief. He quickly moved to the wide glass window and pressed his palm against it, trying to hear better. The cry came again, louder this time. A rolling, echoing sound that carried through the trees and across the valley. His heart skipped. No, it can't be. Dragons were known to live deep within the luminous forest, but they rarely came near human structures. They were majestic beings, large, intelligent, powerful, and very wary of humans. They kept their distance, and humans kept theirs. Years of peaceful coexistence were built on mutual respect and careful boundaries. But this cry was not a warning. It was not a threat. It sounded like distress. Elias grabbed his coat and ran toward the exit. He knew very well that leaving the outpost at night was against protocol. He knew it was risky, but something inside him pushed him forward. Something ancient and instinctive, an urge to help, to understand. As he stepped outside, the cool night air rushed over him. The grass brushed lightly against his boots as he took a few cautious steps away from the station. The forest edge was about 60 meters away, a dark wall of tall trees glowing faintly with their natural luminescence. The light was soft, shifting gently like the breathing of a giant creature. And then he saw movement. Something huge, very huge, was moving through the trees. Elias froze, but he didn't step backward. His breath shallow. He watched as the shape grew clearer with every second. It emerged slowly, carefully, as if trying not to startle him. Then the moonlight fell across her scales. A mother dragon. Her body shimmered like polished silver, with faint lines of blue running along her wings. Her eyes were golden, warm, and intelligent. But right now, those eyes were swollen with sadness. She stepped into the open, one slow step after another. Her enormous wings folded tight against her back. In her front claws, she held something small, a hatchling. Elias's breath caught. The little dragon was limp, its tiny wings hanging weakly at its sides. Its scales, usually bright and reflective, seemed dull and dim. Elias could see its chest rising and falling in shallow, uneven breaths. The mother dragon lowered her head and released a long, soft sound, half cry, half plea. It vibrated through the air, gentle but filled with emotion. Elias felt his entire body tense. But not from fear. From shock. Why would she come to a human? Why him? She took another step forward, stopping just 10 meters away. For a creature her size, that was close enough to be dangerous if she wished it. But Elias saw no anger in her eyes. No threat, only trust. And desperation. Very slowly, she lowered her claws and placed the hatchling on the ground in front of her. The little dragon whimpered softly. The sound tugged at Elias's heart, like a hand pulling on a string. The mother dragon then looked directly into his eyes. Elias felt something shift inside him. This was no accident. She had come here for him. He swallowed and took a cautious step forward. You want help, don't you? He knew dragons couldn't speak human languages, but they understood tone. They understood intention. As far as xenobiologists knew, dragons communicated through expressions, energy waves, and subtle sounds. The mother dragon lowered her head again, her golden eyes reflecting hope and fear all at once. Elias moved slowly, his hands raised slightly to show he meant no harm. He kept his steps quiet and measured. When he reached the hatchling, he crouched beside it. The tiny creature lifted its head weakly and stared at him with bright but fading eyes. It let out a soft, small sound barely more than a breath. "It's okay," Elias whispered, gently placing his hand near its chest. "I'm here to help." He expected the mother dragon to react, maybe to flinch or pull her hatchling back, but she stayed perfectly still, trusting him fully. That trust was heavy. It pressed on Elias like a weight he didn't deserve but was determined not to drop. He carefully inspected the hatchling. There were no injuries, no signs of physical harm, but its energy levels visible as faint glowing veins beneath its scales were dimming. Something was draining it from the inside. He tried to remain calm. Though worry spread through him, "I need to get it inside," he said softly. As if the mother dragon could understand his words, she let out a gentle breath. As if giving permission, Elias scooped the small dragon into his arms. It was warm but trembling. The mother dragon watched every movement closely but did not move forward. Instead, she simply lowered her head again, her eyes filled with silent hope. Elias turned and hurried toward the outpost door. He glanced back once. The mother dragon stayed where she was, sitting on the grass in the moonlight, her wings draped protectively around her body. She looked tired, exhausted, but she held herself strong, knowing her child was in human hands. Inside the station, Elias rushed to the medical lab. The hatchling was getting weaker. Its glow flickered like a candle in a storm. He laid it gently on the examination table and activated the scanner. Lines of data appeared on the screen, shifting rapidly as the machine analyzed the young dragon's body. "Come on," Elias whispered. "Show me what's wrong." As the results took shape, his eyes widened. The issue wasn't illness, but something far more unexpected. The hatchling was suffering from severe energy starvation. Its natural internal energy vital for all dragon biology was nearly depleted. Dragons usually drew energy from special minerals found deep in their forest territory, minerals that glow with natural light. But if a mother dragon brought her young to a human, that meant those minerals were gone, or unreachable, or contaminated. Elias shook his head slowly, feeling a mix of concern and disbelief. "No wonder she came here," he murmured. He touched the hatchling's tiny claw gently. "And you're running out of time, aren't you?" The scanner beeped softly. Critical levels. Elias straightened, resolve settling into his chest like solid stone. "I won't let you fade," he whispered. Outside, the mother dragon released another soft cry. This one was quieter, but filled with hope. And Elias Trent knew that tonight would change everything, not just for him, not just for this hatchling, but possibly for the entire relationship between humans and dragons. For the first time in history, a dragon had placed her child's life in human hands, and Elias had no intention of failing her. Inside the bright medical lab of Evergreen Ridge, Dr. Elias Trent moved quickly but carefully. His hands worked with calm focus, but his heart was full of worry. The little dragon lay quietly on the examination table, its glow dimming with every passing minute. Its chest rose and fell in small, weak breaths, almost too soft to see. Outside the glass window, the mother dragon waited silently. She sat on the grass with her wings curled around her body like a protective blanket. Her golden eyes never left the lab. Even from inside, Elias could feel her concern, like a warm pressure in the air. He turned to the scanner again. Lines of data flashed across the screen. Severe energy depletion, he muttered. Almost empty. But why? What changed? Dragons were powerful creatures. Their bodies generated and absorbed natural energy from the world around them. The minerals deep in the luminous forest served as their primary energy source. Those minerals glowed faintly with the same soft light that ran through dragon veins. But the hatchling's energy patterns were unstable. The glowing veins were thin, barely visible. Elias leaned closer to the screen. "This isn't a normal deficiency," he whispered. "Something is blocking the energy flow." He studied the scan again, reading every detail twice. The screen showed microscopic clusters forming around the hatchling's core energy pathways. They were not harmful poisons or infections. They were empty pockets, areas with no trace of energy at all, almost like gaps. He ran his fingers through his hair. "Energy deserts," he said softly. "But how? What could cause this?" His tablet beeped. A message from his colleague, Dr. Mara Lin, appeared. Mara, still awake? Energy readings spiking around your region. You seeing anything strange? Elias, you have no idea. I need your help with a hatchling. Severe energy drain. Unusual patterns. Mara, a hatchling? Human or wait? Don't tell me. Elias, yes, dragon. There was a long pause. Then another message popped up. Mara, sending connection request. You need my eyes on this. Elias accepted the request, and seconds later, Mara's face appeared on the screen. She was surrounded by her own lab, full of equipment and blinking monitors. Her eyes widened when she saw the hatchling in the background. Elias. This is historic, she said quietly. A mother dragon brought her child to you? Yes, Elias replied. And she's still outside? Mara exhaled slowly. Then we must be careful. Dragons never ask humans for help. For her to do this, the situation must be serious. Elias nodded. What do you make of these readings? She leaned closer to her screen. These energy gaps. They look like mineral deficiency patterns. But far worse. That's what I thought, Elias said. But why so extreme? Mara tapped her chin. Has anything changed in the forest recently? Elias remembered the strange light pulses he had been studying earlier. Yes, energy fluctuations. Big ones. That could be it, Mara said. If the energy flow in the forest changed suddenly, dragons might not be able to find enough of the minerals they rely on, which means, Elias said, looking at the hatchling, this little one hasn't been able to absorb enough energy since birth. Mara nodded. And now it's running out completely? Elias swallowed. Is there any way to restore it? He asked. Mara leaned back. There is a theoretical method, but it was never tested. I'm listening, Elias said immediately. Dragons absorb energy from natural minerals, Mara explained. If we can create a synthetic version, something close enough to their natural source, it might restore the flow. A synthetic mineral compound, Elias repeated. Yes, Mara said. But the formula is incomplete. It needs adjustments, and it requires a stable energy core to hold the compound together. Elias glanced around the lab. He had equipment, but not everything he needed. Can I make it with what I have here? Mara looked unsure. It won't be perfect, but with enough adjustments, it might work. Elias placed his hand gently on the hatchling's side. The little dragon made a faint sound, a weak chirp, as if calling out. That's enough, Elias said softly. I'll try. Mara nodded firmly. I'll guide you. He grabbed a clean set of tools and rolled a cart to his workstation. He pulled up the mineral data and began mixing elements, tiny crystals, ionized dust, microenergy cells, all things the lab used to study dragon habitats from afar. Mara watched closely through the screen, giving instructions. Careful with that. Too much will destabilize the mix. Add a stabilizer here. Heat it gently. Don't rush it. The room filled with soft hums and glows as the compound began to form. It shimmered faintly, a pale blue glow swirling inside the container like captured mist. Elias studied it closely. It's working, he whispered. But the compound suddenly flickered and dimmed. No, stay stable, he murmured, adjusting the controls quickly. Mara frowned. It needs a stronger core, something to keep the energy from collapsing. Elias looked around. The only thing strong enough would be an energy cell from the main generator. Exactly, Mara said. But be careful. It's powerful. Elias hurried to the main control room and retrieved a small, glowing core battery from the backup power unit. He returned to the lab and held it up. This should do it. He carefully inserted the energy cell into the synthesis device. The machine hummed louder, and the compound brightened. The blue glow grew stronger, swirling with steady motion like a small star. Mara smiled. That's it. It's stable. Elias let out a long breath of relief. But the hatchling gave a sudden weak cry. Its glow flickering again. The table scanned its vitals, dangerously low. He turned to Mara. I have to give it the compound now. Be careful, she urged. And stay calm. The mother is watching. He nodded and prepared the injection tool. The mother dragon outside the window leaned forward, sensing something important was happening. Her wings shifted slightly, and her eyes glowed brighter with worried anticipation. Elias approached the hatchling and spoke softly. "It's all right, little one. This will help you." He gently inserted the tool near one of the glowing veins on the hatchling's neck. The tiny dragon shivered but didn't pull away. The mother dragon outside let out a deep, soft sound, supportive, trusting. Elias slowly released the compound. The blue energy flowed through the hatchling's veins like spreading light. At first, nothing happened. The glow stayed weak. The hatchling's breathing remained shallow. Elias felt his heart tighten. "Come on," he whispered. Mara watched anxiously on her screen. The mother dragon lowered her head, her entire body still. Then the hatchling's glow flickered once. Twice, a warmth spread beneath its scales. The veins brightened, pulsing gently. The little dragon's chest rose higher, more evenly. Its tiny claws curled slightly, and its wings twitched with a small spark of energy. "It's working." Elias breathed. The glow continued to grow stronger, though slowly. The hatchling opened its eyes just a little, the faintest shine returning to them. It let out a tiny chirp, soft, but full of life. Outside, the mother dragon released a deep, emotional call. Not loud, not wild, just full of relief. Her wings lifted slightly, and for the first time tonight, hope shone in her golden eyes. Mara smiled through the screen. "You did it, Elias. You brought it back." He shook his head. "We did it." He gently stroked the hatchling's small head. Mara's voice softened. "This moment, this could change everything. Dragons trusting humans. It's unbelievable." Elias looked out the window. The mother dragon leaned close. Her eyes filled with gratitude too deep for words. "This is just the beginning," Elias said quietly. And he knew he was right. The impossible had been overcome. But a much bigger journey was waiting ahead.